Desain Komunikasi Digital atau DKV angkatan 2019 dan merupakan juga alumni OIA Badi dengan jabatan PIC Media Relation. Nah, kenapa saya memilih Mbak Jihan atau teman-teman juga memilih Mbak Jihan karena kita juga butuh untuk tambahan wawasan tentang sosial media atau perkontenan. Jadi jadwaling, timeline seperti itu. Jadi harapannya dengan adanya sharing session ini, jadi kalian bisa tahu bagaimana waktu yang lalu proses untuk media relation seperti apa. Gitu. Baik, mungkin sedikit uh, sepatah dua kata dari saya. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya ya guys. Semoga bisa bertambah lagi pesertanya ini. Bisa lebih dari 15 lah. Bismillah. Oke, semoga berjalan lancar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Bushanas, for your word of remarks. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have our core event for today, but let me introduce to you guys who are our speaker for today. Okay, so our speaker for today is Kak Jihan, or her full name is Syahjihaan and Raharjo. She's a really expertise in a graphic designer. And right now, she's currently working at Collaborate PTE Ltd at Singapore as a creative marketing executive begin in November 2023. She also had some really, she's also had many experiences in the graphic design stuff, which is she's already have had an internship at 2022 and also in Singapore. And back in OIA, Kajihan is a head of media relations. So that's really nice to know that Luciana's mentioned before. And also not just experience in a workplace, but she also had some competition and awards though. Back in 2022, she's got Best 5 Logo Design Finalist at Inovasi Gresik by Bapeda Gresik. And also she's gaining Silver Awardee for Poster Design at AOIF International College Students Starfish Award category. And also she's had this certification from Adobe, which is called Adobe Certificate Associate in Visual Design using Adobe Photoshop. She is also expertise in some software, which is such as Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Premiere, Blender, Figma, and so on. So yeah, she's really expert at graphic design. So make sure to gain a lot from her today because yeah, she's joining us with us today and gonna share the insights from her itself. So yeah. And can I say hi to you, Kak Jihan? Hello.
Hello,
Okay. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to hear that. I'm good too, Kak. Okay, so Kak Jihan, are you ready to give us some your insight for today, Kak?
Yeah. Um,
Okay, so okay, guys, we're gonna have our sharing session begin. So make sure to take notes and don't forget to, if you have any question, to ask it later. So yeah, Kak Jihan, the time is yours.
am I the one who shared the screen or?
Oh, actually, the one Rafael gonna help you to share the screen.
Okay.
Okay, wait 1 minute.
Is my voice clear?
Yeah, it's crystal clear.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, you cannot share it like within Google Slides, so as like presentation. Okay, I think that works. Okay, so hello guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's very nice to finally go back to where I came from, which is OAWC. It's been a while. And yeah, at first like I was kind of I don't know. I just want to tell you like my feeling when I get contacted by Pushyanas. I was like, oh, okay, I got invited again in YAVC. And even though I'm not really like a social media specialist and my work is not that intense with social media, but I think there are things that I wanted to share with you about social media, and hopefully there is something you can take from it and it's beneficial. So that's why today's topic, I want to talk about Planet Like You Mean It. But beforehand, I want to ask like how's your Ramadan going so far? I feel like it's going very fast for me.
Alhamdulillah. For me itself, it's pretty good because yeah, I can do it with my friends in Gresik, so that's pretty enjoyable right now. So yeah.
Yeah,
How
that's
about
good.
the
Yeah.
Ramadan in Singapore, Kak? Is there any like
Okay, so there's probably an information that you haven't get from me because I don't work in Singapore. I work
oh,
remotely for
I
Singaporean company.
see.
Yeah. And yeah, if you see that I work as an internship in FX Media Singapore, and then now I also work in Singapore company, one of the reason I think is because Singapore is very open with remote work. So and I and it's not like my purpose that I want to work with Singapore company only or something like that, but it's just purely luck that I get always like accepted in Singapore company, which is such a bless. But yeah, I'm in Indonesia. I'm in the same city as you. So the weather is the same. But yeah, anyways, that's good that your Ramadan is going well. Hopefully that we can get forgiven in this Ramadan and get the benefit from it. Anyways, yeah, for today's topics about social media tips about OIUEC, but like I said before, I'm not really like a specialist of social media, so I hope you don't cite me for your thesis in the future because this is purely from my personal experience and also um what is it like from what I learned in my workspace so far. But basically, yes, I'm currently working as the creative marketing executive, which more about like design, branding, and sometimes also helping with like clients handling, something like that. But basically, Collaborate is a startup slash agency that runs as like a bridge between content creator and brands. And we run like campaigns around it. And that's why I feel like I have things to say around content creating because I've worked with a lot of them, a lot of Singaporean influencers, especially. And yeah, so but like our company also is currently expanding its ventures and also the clients basically. But yeah, we can start now. Next. So I know you guys already know that I'm from OIA, but I think our age gap is already very far. So you most of you, if not all of you, don't know me personally. But basically, I joined UIC at 2019, and in 2020 I get I don't know, hired or but yeah, I get kidnapped with Miss Nunung to OIA, and I started as a freshman at that year with other nine buddies at that time. And at that time we didn't have any department yet, but we just do what we are assigned to. Like I was a visual communication design student, so I work around design as well as Niken and Michelle, who are also in the same department as me. But then um the COVID hits, so that's why I couldn't find many pictures of us working or having meetings because mostly we are doing meetings like online. But yeah, and eventually in 2021, our team expanded. We finally have like a junior, and that's where we media relations established, and then after like 2 years in 2022, I completed or graduated from IUEC for like internship and thesis and all of this stuff. So because we need to focus on that. And that's why in 2023, Alhamdulillah, we graduated on time from OIC. And yeah, that's the pictures of the buddies. And then the middle pictures is with probably some of you, if not most of you familiar with the face. There's Fathan, JJ, and Sandy. But yeah. And that's actually the first time I met with like my members of media relations because of COVID. So that's like the first and the last time we see them. And that's sad, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's my relationship with OIA, and it OIA is like a very meaningful organization and an organization that I'm proud of, So hopefully you guys also feel the same about OIA because I learned so much about it, and I hope that OIA also get like some benefit, even though a little bit from me. But anyways, yeah, next. So this is kind of like the screenshot from the monthly plan that I did back then as a media relation member. And at that time, I also didn't know any better from probably most of you guys because I made a lot of mistake. I didn't and to highlight my mistake is more about like overloading frequency because I think the algorithm back then and now is pretty different. But back then we are more focusing about like frequency. So the more we upload, the more we post a content, the better our account visibility like in social media. But at the same time, it was very exhausting for our team, especially me and Niken at that time. Because even though we already expanded our team with like the juniors, but me and Niken was still the one who designed everything. And then, yeah, idea wise, our content, if you see like we upload daily, every single day we have different segments, which is idea wise, it's not bad, but like research wise, and then we didn't plan thoroughly and we didn't learn much about what we do. So after like 3 months or 6 months, we burn out. It was so tiring to always design a post every single day before posting. Also, we also have like college tasks, so it was exhausting. A lot of things happen, and yeah, like we did like weekly meeting, which where we report our analytics and insights about the content that we posted, but it was just as a formality. At least for me, I didn't really learn about what works, what didn't, and I just like continually posting. And if it doesn't work, just posting more. That's basically my mindset back then, which I realize now that that shouldn't be the case. Then I hope you guys can also learn from that because yeah, three main point about my mistake was overloading frequency. I just focusing on upload, upload, upload without really, research much about it. And yeah, the second one, lack of research about the platform. Not like we did research, but more about like what kind of content we want to post. That's all. But we didn't do any research about our platform, like Instagram. Instagram, we didn't learn about like how the algorithm works, how to make these things works, how to make certain posts viral or something like that. Like we just research on the surface basically. And then we failed to adapt the trends and audience feedback basically. And yeah, so and in uh, yeah, I guess next kind of lost with my own mind. Yeah, so now I realize there are five things as a key factors what to make posts effective. The first one is the content type, which is like which kind of content format or yeah type that you want to make. Do you want to make reels? Do you want to make stories and carousels? Which each type serve different purpose, different goals, and different approach as well. So you gotta make sure when you make certain content, how do you want to post it? Like if you want to post storytelling, I think it's best for you to post it as a reels instead of as a statics. So something like that. So think like strategically for that. And then the topic relevance is to um focus on the student stories, events, and then program updates because OIA is kind of like an organization, internationalization organization. So you need to focus on those kind of topic. And then the platform optimization is, which I will mention later after a few slides later, I think, about like what kind of content to be post on what platform. So because like different platforms serve different purpose as well. So like for example, for Instagram it's more visuals and TikTok is more authenticity, basically like that. And then for timing, you also need to understand what's the best timing for engagement, maybe like 7 p.m. in certain day, or maybe some other day is more like 9 a.m. with some reason. But even then, I cannot tell you the exact time when to post, but more like you need to experiment about it yourself. And then the engagement is very important, especially if we're our account is still developing, is still growing because a lot of people, some new people probably like gonna comment to our post, and we it's important to reply to their comments and engage with that. Don't act like a high tier influencer with million followers who never reply to their comments. But for us, we need to because that's our purpose. We're an helpful organization for the students, so we need to serve that purpose and not acting like a celebrity, basically. And that also will help with your account growth. Next. But actually, even though I say all of those things, there are no correct way to do it because social media is always evolving. The social media that I did 5 years ago, damn, it's a long time ago, well, 5 years ago. And social media today is very different in terms of trends, algorithm, even like the visual of Instagram already changed a lot. So I cannot tell you what is the correct way, what to do the exact way, like one per one about what you need to do, because there is no correct answer for that because it's very tied to human behavior and human is very unique one to another. So there's no one size fits all solution. And the key is to stay flexible and adapt with the changes, but also still focus with your goals. And so what you can do is to research the successful competitors or the similar organizations. Maybe our organization don't necessarily have competitor because we're not like a business or something like that, but we do have um, other universities organization who share similar niches or something like that. And then you also need to know your platforms, their strengths, like I said previously, and that I will explain deeper after this about like the platform. And then you need also to engage and don't just post because you need to build relationships with your audiences and you need to learn, experiment, and apply. And experiment is kind of like the word that I probably going to use a lot in this topic because that's basically how you figure it out basically. So yeah. So how to plan your content strategically then if there is no correct way. Next. So far, is there any question though? If you have any question, please just raise your hand or yeah, just let me know. Um, you can cut me off too, basically, if you need to. And yeah, the next one is to strategically planning your content and how to do that. The first one is definitely define your content pillars. I think lot of you probably already know, or at least know a little bit about content pillars. Basically, content pillars is a 3 to 5 core themes to your social media, and the purpose is to prevent yourself wanders around and just like create random content, whatever works, we post it, which will be um makes you going away from the purpose of your account, and it will, and the account will be like trash, you just post everything, and then it's not um like curated enough. But the example of content pillars that probably we can apply for OIA OEC, which I applied to the social media back then, is educational, which is like tips, guides, and then like how to learn certain English and how to, I don't know, join certain programs. And then inspirational is kind of like student stories, student testimonials, and then like yeah, successful stories about like certain people that may be related with international study. And then engaging, or this also can be called as entertainment, which is usually like games, pollings, quizzes, which is which is like usually more about like giving an ice break for your account and following like trends, and more about like um going within the traffics of the social media and not in a serious manner, which is, it's not a bad thing. I think like for you to jump into trends and then viral things, it's not a bad thing, because sometimes you need to still get into the algorithm and follow what people do and what people likes. But just my tips is don't do it too much, or that literally all you post is trends, is kind of, it's not tailored enough, and it serves different purpose of our organization, I think. But it's okay to join, I don't have like a bad feeling around it. And then for promotional is usually like OIA have like events or programs, and or maybe, I don't know, something to promote, basically like maybe about OIA VC itself. You can post it within that content pillar. And that's just an example. Basically, you don't need to use certain content pillars if you feel like it doesn't apply to the um, social media, to your social media anymore. But yeah, that's just like a brief, I don't know, like a cheat code. I don't know. But yeah. And then the second one is the competitor research, which I mentioned. I think we don't really have, you, you don't have competitor, I believe. But there are organizations that you definitely share similar um niches. So, like for example, there are 3 examples that came into my mind when I write this material. So, but this is obviously not all. Like for example, the other big universities, international organizations, for example, the OIA, UGM, ITS, Global Engagement, and I believe there are a lot more organizations like that. So you can do competitor research around that, and then like the international programs provider like Erasmus, ISMA, or there are a lot of other things that didn't came into my mind at the time. And then other than organizations or like companies, you can also refer to this influencers who do study abroad or like study internationally, or make content related to study exchange, study abroad, living abroad, something like that, and see whether they have certain segments or topic or content that you can follow from that. For example, like Xaviera Putri, I believe you all know about her, and then Celine Vijaya, and then there's definitely a lot more. Maybe like Jerome Pauline, but Jerome Pauline no longer a student, but so I think like he's no longer relevant. But yeah, just an example. And yeah, so this is just kind of for like as a guidance about like the 3 main competitors or similar accounts that came into my mind, but there's definitely a lot more that you can research it yourself and take it as like like a practice. And the reason why you need to do this is because the wisest men is those who learn from other people's mistake. So you don't need to do whatever they do if it doesn't work, because you already know that certain topic that this people or this organization flops badly, so you don't need to do that. So it's actually save you an energy, and also yeah, like you don't need to repeat their mistake, and you can just start a different starting point basically, which is better. So yeah, don't repeat my mistake and those organizations or people's mistake as well. And yeah, next. So I mentioned about one of my mistake is for not learning about the platform, about we didn't research enough about like the platform we are posting. And this is kind of like a secret that I learned when I work in my current company, because I'm working with a lot of like content creators in Singapore, and a lot of them have like very high engagement and followers. And I also learned about like brands perspective on content creators. So this can be related to OIA, and maybe if any of you are considering to be a content creator, so maybe you can take a note. And so basically, this is kind of like a brief spoiler about the difference between Instagram and TikTok. And I only take these two platforms because this is kind of like the most familiar. And I believe there are still a lot of other um, platforms like YouTube and then X or Threads and all of those. But these two platform I believe YWC have. So this usually like the main platform. Basically, sometimes we think that these two platforms is different because they look the same. You just scroll and there's videos, but they actually have different personalities, and the user also have different behavior. Even though the people who is like the same, like I have TikTok and I have Instagram, but when I go to Instagram, I'm looking for a certain purpose. And when I open TikTok, I looking for a different kind of content. So that's the reason why um, you need to also think about what kind of content do we post on Instagram versus on TikTok. First is for Instagram, the platform personality is usually more visual first, polished, and then curated, and which is usually more focused on aesthetics and interactions, which usually why the usually people have like templates or like their post is like very well designed, well edited, is because that's the purpose of Instagram. They usually more like aesthetically pleasing to the audience. Um, but different from TikTok, TikTok usually don't care about visual or aesthetics, but they're more focusing on the fun, casual, and trending, and then more focusing on the authenticity and then storytelling and then creativity. That's why if you see the video, like usually Instagram focus on the what is it, like the carousel, the statics pose or multi-image pose, which is like usually very well designed. Meanwhile, TikTok is usually like the raw kind of face of people telling story in front of the camera, and that works well in TikTok, but won't works well in Instagram. And then the user behavior also, usually in Instagram, user scrolls very quickly, and then um they usually more like visit stories and reels more often than other. Meanwhile, for TikTok, usually TikTok users values authenticity, relatable content, and then trends challenges also usually um rooted from TikTok. And oh yeah, for Instagram as well is um why I say that usually the user scrolls very quickly. That's why you probably find there are reels that's like have very short duration, like 1 second reels that's just like repeated again and again, but have long text. that's the reason why, because that works well in Instagram, and that raises their views very effectively, because people forced to play the video over and over again while reading all those texts. But that won't work in TikTok, because in TikTok usually what works is people talking in front of camera and then telling their stories organically, and using list editing. And then the content expectation also, usually when people going to Instagram, they're usually going to short reels and then stories, and then maybe after that carousels. So and but for TikTok usually oh, I think I messed up with but anyways, yeah, but the best, like I mentioned, the best content is for storytelling content for TikTok, and the expectation is usually seeing longer video. I've seen there are a lot of influencers that make short reels in Instagram, and then they have like um to watch details, visit my TikTok or something like that. So they post like a trailer in Instagram, but the longer version on TikTok. Usually that works well on both platforms, and that's a great way to repurpose one content. So you don't need to always record two different content or two different videos for different platform, but you can curate each videos differently based on two platforms. For example, in Instagram, you can, post the well-designed um statics in Instagram, which I know you already do it. And then for TikTok, probably more make it more like a behind the scene kind of video, which that's often what I find with big brands, like for example, Zoom or Discord, or I forgot what's the other company, like Notion. They usually post more like events and then announcement of the new product on Instagram. But on TikTok, usually they're more like sending behind the scene of the company that works on Zoom or something like that. So that can be a note for IOEC. And yeah, so far, do you have any questions, or you're confused what I'm talking about so far? Like, did I talk too much? Or yeah, I hope, I don't know, since I see that you're recording, so if any of you like lost in your mind, especially you're fasting and I'm talking full English, maybe it's tiring. So you can revisit the recording. But yeah, if you have any question, again, let me know. But yeah, next. And this is kind of like the step by step of the content scheduling. I don't really give you like step by step, like open Excel and then create a table and then put it in your calendar with certain content. I don't want to do that because that's very technical, and I'm sure it's very easy. There's a lot of template out there in Google, but it's more about step by step on what you should do in terms of like your research. So the first one is define your goals. And what you do in here is you need to define what goals that you want to achieve. For example, do you want to increase engagement, or do you want to raise followers? Do you just want to be viral? Those goals will need you to do different method. And then you also need to make your goals is like specific, and that is measurable, relevant, achievable, and then have the time bound. For example, as easier reference is like if your goal is to increase Instagram engagement or followers by 1,000 in 3 months, then what you gotta do? Then you probably needs to build your account's visibility. You need to reach out to maybe bigger account, something like that. And if you want to like increase more the engagement by 20% in 3 months, that different approach must be done, which is maybe like following trends, something like that. And then step two is to map content pillars, which I already mentioned previously. pick 3 to 5 course themes for your content, and then you can also assign segments for specific days. And then step 3 is to do research and brainstorm about like the competitors, like I said, and then also like um the ideas of each pillars and the platform as well. For example, for this is to find ideas like student takeover, or maybe step-by-step guides for for student exchange, something like that, and then fun quizzes, fun games. And then the next one is to create content calendar, which is very technical, like I said, and is very important. Then you can use oh my God, my voice is starting to crack. Okay, so for usually the tools can be like oh my God. I hope I don't lose my voice by the end of this. Um, for Google, you can use the tools like Google Sheet, like templates, like calendar, and then you put the content and the pillars, something like that. And there are also more advanced tools like Notion, but that not needed for this organization. Like for example, you can assign like for Monday, like I used to create like a segment called recommendation, like Monday, but recommendation, which I think it was genius of me. But I mean it doesn't have to be like that for you guys because that probably don't work for you. But yeah, assign certain segment in certain day is probably effective for people to look forward for your content like every certain day. Like for example, oh, it's Monday. I need to um visit OIA profile because they usually post certain kind of content, something like that. And then you can also batch create content. That's the step 5. Batch create content means like you create content by dedicating 1 day a week to design everything and then write captions. So then over the week you can just post it. So you don't need to do it like design post, design post, design post like what I did back then, which is very exhausting. And then the step 6 is to schedule your post. So yeah, you need to set times based on optimal engagement hours, which you need to do research on that yourself because it vary each content, each account and each day. So yeah, there's a lot of platform that explaining that. So you need to do that. And then the step 7, which is the last but not least, is to monitor and adjust your content. You need to see what kind of content works, what kind of content flops, and you need to adjust. Oh, if it works, then you can continue. But if it flops very badly after you do it like 3 times, then you don't need to do it again. You know, it saves you energy and you can just start with something different. Next. So other than planning, you can also start by experiment based on the insights that you already have, which is you can start with the step 1 is to start with a hypothesis. The hypothesis is to, like for example, posting reels in 7 p.m. usually will increase engagement compared to 12 p.m. So by doing that hypothesis, you can start by, okay, so I will post at 7 p.m. and then some other day I will post 12 p.m. and prove it like, okay, so my hypothesis was right. So you can continue from that. But if you're wrong, then you need to create more hypothesis or do the opposite, which is 12 p.m. This is kind of like very strategic, like a thesis, but I hope it's not too boring. But yeah, the step 2 is to also test one variable at a time. For example, um, you can test different posting time for the same type of reels. Like for example, you need to compare like reels works best when it's posted in what day and time. So you cannot compare like, oh, carousel that being posted on Monday is better than reels being posted on Friday because it's irrelevant. It's different variables. So if you want to compare reels, that compare it with your other reels that posted in different days. And then the step 3 is to track the performance metrics. You need to compare the engagement rates, and engagement rates means like the views, likes, comments, save, and shares. So you need to compare that for reels, which is posted in those 2 different types. And then you need to, and the step 4, you need to analyze the results. Find, for example, you find that reels posted in 7 p.m. got 20% more likes than those posted in 12 p.m.s, maybe. And then step 5 is to implement and iterate. Start posting, and if all those succeeded, then you can start posting reels at 7 p.m. regularly, and to test a new other variable other than this. Maybe like the format, maybe not format, but like the topic, what kind of topic works well compared to what other topics, or then the trending audio, the hashtags, captions, whatever. But yeah. Next. Oh, next. This slide's actually skipped. Yeah, next. Okay, so this is kind of like a case study that came into my mind, but I didn't, but yeah, for a disclaimer, I don't do an in-depth research about any of this. This is just like what I see as a stranger, as a, I don't know, yeah, as a, just like a, as an audience, what I see from a service. So don't take this research as a base on your research. Okay, so this is just a case study based on what I see from ITS Global Engagement on Instagram. Their reels that works well is usually the international student life, or the conversation between international students. Usually that works well, have higher views and higher engagement, because I think that interests their audiences more. So, and probably this is not applied to OIA yet, but if there is, then you can, you know. And for a carousel, usually they usually post like guides or step by step on how to apply to certain program, like if there's like an exchange program, how to enter, like, oh, you have to go to certain websites and this and that. And I think that works well for these carousels, and it's also easier to design and put that in the statics. And then the posting schedule, they seems to post daily, but then their daily posting is also very simple. It's just very simple design and very simple material, so that's not a bad thing, I think. Since they also, obviously they're a big university, so they have a lot of programs, so they need to post constantly. And from that, what can OIC possibly copy or follow or learn from is to adapt their strategies, and which may be first is student takeovers or testimonials. If there are students who have studied abroad, then you need to ask to them about like their experience, or talk to them about, I don't know, make video with them if any. I think a lot of OIA we see audience will be interested in that. And then the second one is the step-by-step guides for international programs. I think also a good idea for you to kind of copy as a carousel or statics. And then you can also start by consistent posting schedule. But again, this is just an example, so don't copy one per one. Like if it has global engagement posts every day, so I have to post every day. No, that's not how it works. But more like, oh, if that works for them, does it work for us? And you need to start research, like how I did it, how I say, or how I mentioned before this. And then next. So up until now, you're probably like confused. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I need to do. So what can I do to start? Don't start with a blank canvas. So you can start by analyzing your past performance because up until now, OIA has been posting for years. So you can learn from that, and maybe not since like my time because it's very different. Again, it's long time ago. So you can learn from like, I don't know, a few months ago or maybe a year ago performance. And why do you need to analyze those posts? Like, why is that relevant? Because you need to learn what worked and what didn't. And then you need to identify the patterns. Like I said, like if you post reels in a certain time, that always works. So if you find those patterns, it's easier for you to start. So you can just follow, you can just continue. So you don't have to start your research all over from the start. And then you can also build on what already resonates with your audience, which I believe is a very good thing to engage and ask your audience directly, not only doing the research yourself and then discuss it with your team or to, ask me or ask the alumni, but it's best to ask your audience, maybe in Insta stories or in the comments, ask them what kind of content they like and they want to see for OIA ways to post. You can ask them and you can start from there. So then your content and your account will resonate the best to you for your audience. And how to analyze it is to do weekly check-ins to review the engagement metrics, the likes, comments, shares, save, like I said before. And then you have to identify the patterns like, oh, educational posts usually drive save. Like a lot of people save educational content and a lot of people shares trending content. A lot of people like comment on funny content. You need to um identify those patterns, and then you also need to focus on you need to change your focus if certain content pillar underperforms or like resulted very badly, then you maybe need to adjust that or maybe even change it. Next. So yeah, basically that's all from me. There's a lot of things that I say, and I hope it's not confusing you more and overwhelming you more about it. But basically, the final takeaway is to stay agile, because social media evolves and um, it's always changing every single day. And so you need to regularly update your strategies, and then you need to build relationship with your audience. Don't just posting what to post, but you need to ask your audience then if you're confused. And then consistency is more important than frequency. So even though you don't post as much, like in a month, but if it's resonates with your audience, that it works. So even though you only post like once a week or two a week, but if that post is effective, then you don't need to change that. But yeah, that's basically the final takeaway from me. And I assume since you guys invited me, I believe there must be an issue or a problem that you're currently facing related to social media. So please ask me and we can discuss about about it, what can possibly be the cause and the solution for it. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Jihan. There's a lot of information that we can take here from the mistake, from the key factor for effective post, and we have some briefs that the difference between Instagram and TikTok behavior. And yeah, there's a lot of going on. Yeah, it's time for us to in the Q&A session, guys. So if you guys have any something that we want to discuss, especially about our social media itself, if you don't have like the time for you open your mic, you can just write it in the comment sections. There's actually one that I really want to ask to Kak Jihan that pretty, I don't know, that give me a little curious about it. So based on Kak Jihan experiences itself, like what is your thoughts about the daily posting itself? Like, you say that if you do it, the one who do it will have like burn out or exhausting and something like that. But uh, the daily posting can make our account feels alive, let's say like, but it is like the benefits is it higher than the what's called the bad side itself? What do you think, Adia, based on your experience
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
daily posting?
I agree with that. I think that's also my big reason why we did daily posting back then. And yes, I also don't disagree that it probably works to raise your account visibility. So but yeah, you need to plan about how to create it if you decided that daily posting is efficient or will works well and oft and based on your research, that's usually what people do or what other organizations do. So you want to apply that for OIC, then you can start to do that. But you also need to prepare or plan it strategically, like who does the content research, who does the design, who does the social media, like who posts, who gonna like upload it to social media, who create like the captions and all of that. It doesn't have to all be different people, but if it does, it will be better because then it divide the workloads and it will feel more even for all the members in the department. But another thing is probably for the main content, you don't need to post like daily, but you need to engage daily on stories. That can also be another strategy. Like you only post like two, like maybe three times a week, but you keep always visible on Insta stories. Because like for me personally, at least, when I'm going to Instagram, the first thing I visit is people's story. And I think it's been a while since I see OIOEC post anything on so that's why I assume that um first, like, is it because um OIOEC not resonates with my algorithm, or is it because OIOEC hasn't post much? So that was kind of came into my wonder. But I realized that I think you guys for now only posting like big days, which is not bad, maybe because you're still figuring out about like what you should do. But yeah, you can do daily posting, but again, like you need to separate the workload to your team so it's like very even. And back then, the reason why I was burnout is because I was the PIC. So I need to kind of like um not command. Okay, command is a bad word, but like I ask um the the other people, the member, media relations member to like, guys, you need to do this, you need to do that, and then I also need to make a report. But I also be the one who um create the template and then put everything together, make sure all the research are like correct. Basically, I did a lot of a little bit of everyone's workload, which is that's why like it was very burnout. So that's why everyone have to take the social media seriously together. So it's not heavy on one side. So yeah, I think that's, and also like posting stories daily, maybe more important than posting um content, like the main content daily. That can be your first step, basically.
Okay, so we still need to research and also we share the job desk itself so we don't have that burnout or exhausting feeling about it. And yeah, we can try the daily Instagram Insta story. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the answer, Kak. Maybe you guys, the audience or the participant had some, media social related or design questions. Feel free to ask Jihan. She is very expert for it.
I'm very used to it. A lot of people don't have their camera on, and then I'm very used to it.
Uh,
Can I ask you if you're from media relations or not?
Actually, I'm not.
Okay, so I need
Yeah.
someone, at least one from media relations
Yeah, I
to
know.
ask question.
Any med any media relation person here, I guess there's Ani though. Do you have any question, guys, from media relation? Like,
Or maybe your
ask about
issue, you're confused about something, or I don't know, curhat curcol lah. Because like I myself find content creating kind of overwhelming because there are a lot of like I attempted to create content myself personally. Of course, no, I'm not like influencer or something like that. Different kind of niches, but there are a lot of informations out there about like what time to post. And some articles say posting at 9 a.m. is the best. Some say that 12 p.m. during lunch break is the best. Some other even like during like after school or after work, like 5 p.m. works the best. So there are a lot of opinions and it can be very overwhelming. So that's why I've mentioned a lot to experiment it yourself what works with your account because different account, different algorithm and yeah, basically. So I
is there
buy you
any other
guys a
question?
time. I buy I'm trying to distract you guys though.
Maybe one more question from me, I guess, because like there's no one who asks if we have like a decision to make at that day, we can only post like one content because of the algorithm that we gonna choose two of the pillars that Kak Ji have mentioned before. We like if we need like today we supposedly to give some useful information about like education or something, but in one side we have the content that pretty trending at the moment. So in Kak Jihan perspective, which one like we need to prioritize at that time, the trend or the information that we need to give to audience?
Why not both? So first one, you
Anyway.
still needs to do it consistently. And I mean, if you, I think like trends doesn't last like if you don't do it that day, you're
Mhm.
fucked. I'm sorry for my language, but I think like you will have time. Maybe like on the weekend you can do the trends or something like that. But okay, like let's say the worst case scenario, you need to make that decision. I think it's fine to upload both. First you need to keep consistent and keep like the momentum since you feel like posting consistently works well and then the audience already look forward to your content in certain day. Like for example, a lot of people like already looking forward and excited for you to post um I don't know about like study exchange programs information on Monday. Then if you don't post it at that time, people will be like, "Oh, but I'm looking forward to it." There will be like um maybe disappointed even though that probably not really the case, but maybe. So you I think I personally would say that you need to still keep the momentum and post it. But also if you feel like there is this like it's kind of like a stocks trading or something. Like if you don't do it today, it won't happen anymore. But yeah, if that's the case, then you can post it again, like in maybe different times, or maybe you post it twice. But the risk is one of the content probably will be overshadowed by the others.
Yeah.
If this trending content is went viral, then the other probably like not works that well. But yeah, I mean, whatever works works. If you feel like those trends really help the account visibility increase like by whatever percent, then you can do it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you so much for the answer. I guess we're not having so much time left too, and I don't know, is there any guys of you like want to really? Oh yeah, there's I only Yiska. Yeah, please you
Yes, you
can
can.
open your mic.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I can't really open my camera because I've been hide from my family because there's acara keluarga, and my internet been not work so well, so maybe aku ketinggalan banyak hal beberapa menit lalu. Tapi semoga ini belum ditanyain ke Kak Jihan. I think I'm more curious about what if Kak Jihan still an OIA members right now, and you find those mistakes that you've been made back then, like happen around the house right now. I wanted to ask, what will Kak Jihan do to solve it right now? Or maybe what something that maybe Kak Jihan would do to avoid those things. Is it clear?
Yeah, okay, I get it. Let
Thank
me
you.
think about it. Because because I don't know. For me, there are a lot of variables that I need to think about. First of all, me back then, if I still stay in OIA, do I have the same knowledge or not? If assuming if I don't have the knowledge, then mm, because like what I know now and what I've been telling you guys is from my work and from leaving OIA basically. But if I'm still there, that's a very tricky question because then that means then I'm not an employee yet, so I don't have those experiences and knowledge maybe. So probably what I would do is to discuss it with the team and then invite an alumni and then ask them like what you guys basically doing right now. But yeah, like I mean there are a lot of mistakes that are like which is mistakes are unavoidable because it's part of a learning process. But basically, if to pick one mistake that I did, for example, wait, let me going my mistake. Okay, let's say for the lack of research, then I will try to, yeah, I don't know, man. This is a very hard question. Good job. I think for yeah, like, I mean, if I was back then, I wouldn't know that I made a mistake because I don't know a better knowledge. But if I know now, I will probably do a lot of research about like I will sit down in front of like um the planning and like does this really works and then like revisiting my research about for example like the platform, why does this account why does this content doesn't work on Instagram? Is this the fault of the topic? Is it because I posted in the wrong time? Is it because I posted on Instagram, or is it because I use too many hashtags, which is actually the case? Like nowadays, I realized that back then, if you use the more you use hashtags, the better. But nowadays, a lot of viral content don't even use hashtags. So topics is really important than any other thing. So yeah, I think we need to revisit on the content. Does this really serve the purpose of our goals? And second, does this resonate with our audience, which is the key? So if I was you guys and not sure about what kind of content yet, even though you're doing a lot of research, then just ask your audience. That's I think what I will do. What I will do, like in Insta stories, like, hey guys, um, what's the reason you guys follow us? What kind of content are you looking forward for us to post? And something like that. And I think that's probably the first thing that I want to do if I'm still in OIA, other than also talking within the team and then consulting with maybe Mem Nunung or Bushanas or other people related in this industry, basically. But yeah, great question, by the way.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Jihan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Yiska and Kak Jihan. And I guess that's the last question that we can do today because we were not having so much time left. And once again, thank you, Kak Jihan, for the insight that given to us. And we're gonna move on to our next session, our agenda, which is a documentation. So can I ask Rafael to help us to take the picture?
Okay, Mas. I can
Okay, yeah,
wait.
you can comment us like 1, 2, 3 or something. Yeah, we can
Okay,
pause.
wait for a minute, Mas.
Okay, okay.
By the way, if any of you guys want to contact me further, if probably you don't really can't think of any questions today, you can hit contact me on my LinkedIn, or I also have Behance, but you can just type my name like Syahjihaan Raharjo. You can maybe find me on Google, I think, like for my LinkedIn, and you can contact me there. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Kak, thank you. Okay, maybe we can start. Uh, 1, 2, 3. Once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much for everyone's coming in for today. Thank you so much for the committee that conducted this event, and also a big thank you to Kak Jihan for the inspiring sharing session. To Mem Nunung and Bushanas also for your enthusiasm and active participation. We hope this session gave us the really beneficial to us, especially about the media social related and design. So maybe from Kak Jihan had some like closing statement before we close this.
Okay, I didn't prepare for it, but yeah, basically, good luck for you all. Stay connected with your members, because for me, like organization, like I was in different organizations, but OIA was the most meaningful one, and with my members, we're still in contact with our OIA buddies, even though we're working different industry and company, and we live all far away, but stay connected, and yeah, whatever problem you have in maybe like not related to IA, reach out to each other, and maybe each of you guys have like any help for each other, and don't let your personal problem affect your performance in OIOEC, and if anything you need to talk about it, and don't, and for the other members also to not judge, but yeah, keep everything everyone's close and tight with the member.
Okay, thank you, Kak.
Okay, so we really need to stay communicate. All right. Thank you so much, Kak Jihan, and everyone
Thank
today's
you.
coming in.
Thank you, Mas Nazar.
And yeah, that's all for our today's agenda, which is sharing session with Kak Jihan as one of the OIA alumni. All right, that. And yeah, I'm Muhammad Zarullah as your master of ceremony for today and also a moderator. I'm sorry if there's any mistaken that I give to you guys. So yeah, and that's all from me. And thank you once again for everyone's coming in. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Thank
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bye.
you so
Thank you.
much.
See
Thank
you
you,
Yeah.
Kak
later,
Jian.
guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Kak
Mem
Jihan.
Sanas. Thank you, Mas Nazar. Okay, we can leave from this Zoom.